Join Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker each Tuesday at 4 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET, and Internet KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show highlights successful businesses and individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on KMET AM, FM, and Internet KMET TV.
Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them, with Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker. And now, here's Daryl and Yvette.
Thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV with Yvette Walker and myself, Daryl McCance. We are live, blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, the Inland Empire, Orange County, and the greater Los Angeles area to our west, the Desert Empire all the way to the east to Arizona, the Temecula Valley, Riverside, all the way to San Diego to our south, and our beautiful mountain communities, Upper Desert, all the way to State Line, Nevada. Get us crystal clear live worldwide by going to Google Play or the Apple App Store and downloading the free KMET smartphone app today. We focus each week on successful businesses in Southern California and the people behind them, serving a local population of nearly 25 million. Yvette and myself focus on all 10 counties. We believe the whole area is one big, beautiful community. And today's show focuses on the business and secrets of California's, we're going to call it impact redevelopment. Instead of just redevelopment, we're going to call it impact redevelopment. There is a secret, and the secret is a Southern California company that goes by they have a belief system, and it's respectful disruption to bring positive change. That's a clue. I won't say any more, or Yvette will get mad at me. So before we begin today, a special thank you to our team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean at the station, and our amazing advisory group from UCI School of Business, Bill Morris, Jay Kaplan, catch his show on Fridays at 3 p.m. every Friday, Camilla Rubio, Diana Cavallo, and James Carvin. Special thanks to last week's guest, Edward Ornelius Jr., President and CEO of the Inland Empire Chamber of Commerce, and that was just a lot of fun going over that beautiful chamber that's been around in recent years. And prior to their putting that together, we didn't have a regional chamber of commerce out here. And in addition, he has invested and has an ownership interest in the Inland Empire Business Journal. And Yvette, at the end of the show, will make sure to go over all the ways to download that and all of the other episodes that you're going to want to hear. So as customary, Yvette Walker will introduce this week's special guest. Yvette, the microphone is all yours.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Daryl. And thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Hidalgo. Ernesto Hidalgo brings 2 decades of experience in finance, real estate, and community development to his role at RDICO. Mr. Hidalgo's professional experience includes leading projects, creating programs, and providing oversight with municipalities, community redevelopment agencies, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to structure acquisitions, coordinate environmental studies and entitlements, and further economic and community-based development. Prior to joining Renaissance Downtowns USA, Ernesto was president of Civic Impact Group, a California benefit corporation where he worked on projects that advanced organization strengths and mission to the communities they serve. He has helped to develop programs and partnerships, coordinate personnel, oversee public relations, and manage projects for organizations such as the City of Los Angeles, Loyola Marymount University, and the American Red Cross. Ernesto serves on several boards and advisory groups, including Metro's Local Service Council and as chairperson on the board of the City of Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance. He has also served on LA's City's Rent Adjustment Committee, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, 100% Renewable Energy Working Group, several neighborhood councils, oversight boards in the cities of Carson and Montebello, and with national and local environmental and conservation nonprofits. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Hidalgo.
Thank you, Yvette, for the wonderful introduction, and Daryl for inviting me to be here today. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure. And as customary, we would love, before we get into the Renaissance Downtown USA, which you have success stories all over the country, and wait till the audience finds out where you're focusing your laser beam currently. It's going to be very exciting. But as Yvette went over your background, we want to get to know you for a minute. So go back as far as you want to go, and tell us your story as it relates to how you got into this redevelopment work, and then we will soon share with the audience where Renaissance Downtowns USA is focused, because everybody listening is going to get a real charge out of this. It's going to be really positive. So let's, before we jump into that, let's really make sure that we know your story personally. So share that with us, if you would.
Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that very much. I say my story begins in my childhood as a child of immigrants and blue-collared workers. Back in the 80s and 90s is when I grew up. And at that time, if you had a blue-collar job, that put you solidly in the middle class. We were able to afford a home in the Larchmont community of Los Angeles, just above Hancock Park. That home today is about $2.5 million. And that's a blue-collared worker today probably wouldn't be able to afford a house like that. But I was blessed to experience that and know what that was like. My grandmother owned a house in South Central Los Angeles that my grandparents purchased in the 60s, prior to the suburbanization of America and the flight and disinvestment that occurred prior to the Watts riots. And they remained in that home from that time period before all of that occurred, when it was a sprawling neighborhood. And they lived there through the disinvestment. And I was able to see what happened with disinvestment as well. And so it was quite a contrast for me growing up to come from a community that was well-to-do, but also simultaneously have origins in a community that was disinvested and facing many, many challenges. And that really shaped my worldview. I also did things like swimming in club teams and participated in sports, which meant that I was traveling throughout Southern California to places like Irvine and San Diego and all the way up to Sacramento. And I'd be able to compare and contrast the different communities. And it always struck me, what are the differences? Why such challenges in these disinvested communities? And how is it that these other communities are able to do so well and sustain a higher quality of life? So that peaked, and the same thing with being the child of immigrants. Why was it that my parents had to leave their home country? They speak so nostalgically about it. They loved their country where they came from, yet they needed to come to America to pursue opportunities that weren't available elsewhere. So that really set me on this path to want to learn more, to understand, and to want to make a difference. And so as a result of that, I've worked in the public sector, the private sector, the nonprofit sector along my journey. And it brought me to the work that I do today, where all of that work is really cross-sectional and overlaps. So that's a little bit of a window into myself and how I arrived to where I'm at today.
Okay, now you're the executive vice president. I can see that they're putting the pressure on you to make sure that we got the right strategic positioning for the projects. So what do you think, Yvette? Should we let the audience know what the focus point of Renaissance Downtowns USA? Should we go right into that, or should we?
I think Mr. Hidalgo needs to just put it out there. We're all ears. We're all listening.
Let the audience know what was recently approved and what the overview of the project is, the scope, and then we'll dig deep from there.
Thank you, Daryl, for the question. We're very excited that we have been selected as the master developer for the redevelopment of the Carousel Mall. For those that are familiar with the Carousel Mall site in downtown San Bernardino, and to us, this represents an opportunity unlike anywhere else in the country. Daryl, you alluded to it earlier. Renaissance Downtowns USA, the company that I've been working for a number of years now, has done projects throughout the country, primarily in the East Coast. And so we understand what that landscape looks like for projects of this type. And rarely is there something, an opportunity like this, where you have a region in the Inland Empire of 4 million people without a downtown. There's no real destination or identity of a place that you can really create an identity for the Inland Empire. People like to go to places like Victoria Gardens, Redlands. They'll go to the neighboring county. Riverside, downtown Riverside is a nice walkable environment, but it's not quite the downtown for the Inland Empire. And so this is the opportunity that exists in downtown San Bernardino. The Carousel Mall site is a 43-acre site, and we understand that in order for that project to succeed, it cannot be treated as an infill project in isolation. Because who's going to come to brand new condos or apartments in the middle of a downtown where there isn't very much more going on? There aren't a whole lot of other amenities there now. And so from our perspective, this really requires a holistic and comprehensive approach. And we are focused on an area that's larger than 300 acres of what we call the downtown core area, or the core central business district of downtown San Bernardino. And we've identified parcels privately owned in that area that are ripe for repurposing, redevelopment. And that's part of our approach. It's holistic and comprehensive. Yes, we're very much focused on the 43-acre Carousel Mall site, but we're also eyeing at how to create a new market that will sustain financially sustain the development of the 43-acre site, as well as creating a new market and redevelopment and transformation for the entire downtown area. So we're excited, and some of the reasons for that are that San Bernardino has its own airport. It's one of the fastest growing airports in the region. Also, there are transit lines, rail lines that come into downtown San Bernardino. The most popular of them is the Metrolink that connects all the way to Los Angeles. But there's also a new line that is being created right now and set to debut within the next year that will connect downtown Redlands to downtown San Bernardino within 10 minutes. And so that represents an incredible opportunity for folks that work or live in Redlands to be able to have options to either come live, work, shop, learn, or play in downtown San Bernardino. And that's what it's all about. It's about providing people with options and amenities so that they'll come and stay.
Absolutely. So since this is, your area of expertise, can you share with us how long this project or this redevelopment of the Carousel Mall and the entire downtown, how long has that been kind of out there being worked on with, marginal success, I'll say, before you guys came in to really present a plan that can take it to the next level?
Yeah, looking at the downtown, there have been long-term efforts to try to revitalize and activate the downtown. The Carousel Mall was one of those projects. It was funded with former redevelopment agency dollars to be that economic catalyst for the downtown. And we now know that there are 1,200 malls across the country, and it's been projected that 600 of them will close within the decade. As we transition to online retail and other forms of shopping and services. And so we need to think about how do we position ourselves strategically going forward. We have been involved through we are a joint partnership of two development firms. It's Renaissance Downtowns USA and RDICO Real Estate Group. ICO Real Estate Group is one of the largest developers in the county. We've done projects through ICO Real Estate Group in just about every city in San Bernardino County, including Rancho Cucamonga, Colton, Rialto, and quite a few others. I've met Highland, and we've done more than 30 projects in the city of San Bernardino alone. And so we were approached about 13 years ago by the county to try to repurpose a portion of the Carousel Mall, just as a result of our stature as a developer in the region. And we looked at it back then. At that time, the county would have been the primary funder of the project. And we realized that even then the project didn't pencil out and the county didn't quite have the resources. So everybody backed out of doing anything 13 years ago. A few years later, Mr. Reinstein, Steve Reinstein from AECOM, approached ICO Real Estate Group about doing a project with AECOM and a few other partners in the downtown. And so we engaged again through ICO Real Estate Group and explored that. But again, the project still didn't pencil out. And so that fell through and unfortunately didn't move forward. Fast forward to today. Today, we presented to the city council back in December of 2019 when they had narrowed our process of 12 developers down to 3, the top 3 choices. And the top 3 developers were there on that day. And one of the things that stood out was Gian Torkin, the principal of ICO Real Estate Group, addressed the mayor and the council and told them very directly, listen, this project does not pencil out, and I'm not sure that I'm going to continue. However, I do see a path here that he had heard kind of put out there by the Renaissance Downtowns USA team, that if this project is treated holistically and comprehensively, there is a path forward to create a market that will sustain this project. And this has been done before in other areas. And that piqued his interest. So as a result of that, the council and the mayor decided to move forward with the RFP process. And we reached out to Gian and the ICO Real Estate Group team at that time and had a discussion about how this could work. And we found that our firms were very much aligned, very, very much focused on a triple bottom line that is not only financially sustainable, but also socially and environmentally. ICO Real Estate Group, in addition to the 30 projects and doing in the city of San Bernardino alone, having more than $100 million in assets in the city of San Bernardino alone, and having done projects throughout all of San Bernardino County, they did the first ICO Real Estate Group did the first LEED certified development project for the county of San Bernardino, and in addition to that, did the first electric vehicle supercharging station, privately financed, in almost in Southern California, maybe in the country, and actually won an award from the California Air Quality Management District for having done so. And so, that commitment to that triple bottom line, the environmental sustainability, the social aspects of it, being very supportive of the nonprofits in the area, of the youth in the area, and thinking ahead to what the future of the region can hold and can be, we were very much in line with our thinking. And as a result, we partnered up and came and put together the proposal that ultimately was selected by the mayor and the city council of San Bernardino. And that's how we arrived to where we're at.
For those that are just tuning in, we are here with Ernesto Hidalgo, Executive Vice President, Renaissance Downtowns USA. His company was just awarded by the city of San Bernardino and others the important task of putting a redevelopment plan together and going after building something very special in the city of San Bernardino. You got the Interstate 10 going all the way out to Palm Springs and the whole Coachella Valley. You got the 215 going all the way into serving the mountain communities, all the way to the state line, Upper Desert. What a important from downtown. Everybody driving right past that. By the way, right across from your target-rich area there of your 43 acres, Yvette Walker and I recently had the opportunity to see one of the most amazing, gigantic, enormous, beautiful Toyota dealerships. The before was a cute little Toyota dealership, Toyota San Bernardino, and by the way, grand opening this month, July of 2021. So it kind of reminds me of the cute little Ontario International Airport, and now we have one of the most amazing airports in the entire country. And Mark Thorpe, the CEO there, has educated Yvette and I that he's been at Dallas, he's been at LA, he's been at Newark, and in his opinion, Ontario International Airport is one of the most amazing airports he's ever seen. And with the multi-million-dollar single facility that Amazon built out there, the enormous UPS, Federal Express, and hundreds of other companies, it is so critical that downtown San Bernardino be brought to its glory again. And the fact that you've been selected after a 2-year long process, which we're going to talk about, and Yvette and I are very interested in hearing about that. I'm sure there's the devil's in the details, and I got to tell you, it just tickles me that there is now a plan for that critical interchange of the 215, the Interstate 10. It's so critical because it's right the hub of everything. People take the 215 right on down to San Diego. It's just very, very important in Temecula Valley and hook right over to Orange County, where, when we were growing up, you couldn't access all these things. And just to kind of paint a picture in the minds of the listeners, we had an area in Los Angeles County not that long ago that had all kinds of difficulties and vacancies, and it was one of the most challenging areas of LA County. And we now know it as Old Town Pasadena, with 90 restaurants, and everybody, it's like Main Street Disneyland down there. And we all recall when Old Town Pasadena opened up, it was just exciting like crazy. So to see one of the areas that was the most challenging area, people have a hard time believing that now when you go down there. But that area of Pasadena had tremendous challenges, and they were able to overcome all of it. And that's what we predict is going to happen with Renaissance Downtowns USA, with all your partners and putting the plan together. Put a plan together and then execute the plan. So as Yvette was saying, there was a big period of time that you were in the process. Tell our listeners how long it was before you were awarded this project. And then we'll start to kind of talk, give a little overview, and then we'll go into more detail here shortly. But give a little overview of that 2-year period and some of the details that are exciting, because we always try to get secrets. So the more secrets we can get, the better, because you can paint a picture, and only you guys can paint the picture because you're putting the plan together. So as you talk about your 43-acre, that's the red center of the bullseye, and then you got a 300-acre perimeter around it, so everybody's succeeding together. Kind of paint that picture a little bit, and then we'll, as I said, we'll go much deeper here shortly, but give us kind of an overview of that.
Absolutely. So going back to the 2 year, thank you, Daryl. Going back 2 years ago, the city put out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications, back in the middle of first half of 2019. And as a result of that, about a dozen different developers responded to that inquiry. This wasn't their first go around. They'd done something similar a few years earlier with other respondents as well. And through that process, they put together a committee with some of the city staff and also local economic development experts from Cal State San Bernardino, from the county, from the school district, key stakeholders. And they narrowed down that group of respondents to about 6 who they invited to an interview process. And through that interview process, they evaluated each of the teams and narrowed it down to a recommendation of 3, which could go forward for the next stage, which was a request for proposal process, something that would be more specific than just submitting your qualifications and what you've done in the past. And that happened in December of 2019. And then in December in 2019, when that decision was made by the city council at a city council meeting, that's when we have the opportunity to kind of meet each other as the final 3 developers face to face. We were all there, and during that meeting, several of the council members commented that, "Wow, wouldn't it be great if these developers actually worked together to bring this project to life?" And we took that very seriously. It's a part of our approach at Renaissance Downtowns USA. We use something called a unified development approach, where we engage with other property owners, business owners, investors, and developers to create larger projects and transform communities such as downtown San Bernardino. So we welcomed those suggestions and met with ICO Real Estate Group at that time. We reached out to the other developer as well. They were not receptive at that time to engaging in a partnership, but ICO Real Estate Group was open to it. We had discussions and saw that our visions were aligned, and so we started working on a proposal for the request for proposal response that was put out by the city. And so we submitted that. That was due to be submitted in April of 2020. But lo and behold, what happened in March of 2020 is everything shut down, right? And all of a sudden, even the city hall staff wasn't at city hall anymore. So that delayed things by a month. And so we extended the deadline, or the city extended the deadline to the end of May of 2020. And at that time, we submitted our response. And the city was very wise in their decision, in that when they put out the RFP for the master developer of the Carousel Mall, and the idea that the downtown had to be looked at in a holistic and comprehensive manner, the city concurrently put out the RFP for a planning consultant to work on the city's general plan and to create a specific plan for the downtown. So it was very wise to do both things, to put out the RFP for the planning firm and for the master developer. And as a result of that, the city selected their planning consultant and ultimately selected us as the master developer. And now we're very fortunate to be working closely with both the city and their planning consultant. And Yvette was able to witness that teamwork out in the public, in the community, and how we were able to engage folks, share ideas, and gain ideas from the public about what they would like to see in their communities, in their downtown.
Well, we're going to be right back, and we're going to get into details. We'll be right back.
Join Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker each Tuesday at 4 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET, and Internet KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show highlights successful businesses and individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on KMET AM, FM, and Internet KMET TV.
Ontario International Airport is on to a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Being sued and don't know who to turn to? The insurance company won't defend you and your family in a lawsuit? Stress no more. Call the Walker Law Group. We are the law on your side. Just call 909-989-3200. 909-989-3200.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report. We're here with Ernesto Hidalgo, Executive Vice President, Renaissance Downtown USA, on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV with Yvette Walker and myself, Daryl McCance. At the break, we were about to get into the details on both components. One is the 43 acres, which is right there, dead center on the Interstate 10 and the 215. What an amazing, amazing location. And we were talking in the break that area, when it was originally developed and the brand new mall and all that, I would imagine was back in the 50s. And now it gets an opportunity to be redeveloped from the ground up, brand new. And the Toyota of San Bernardino, wow. I mean, in fact, it's the only Toyota dealership in all of Southern California that has the two enormous Toyota USA flagship displays. So
that can be seen from space, remember?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you can see it from space. and we walked through that dealership, and just the service bay, you could barely see the other side of it. It was just, I can't even imagine how many cars, and it's at a whole new level. It's at a whole new level. And do you remember how many square feet are in that facility, Yvette?
63,000 square feet.
63,000 square feet. And Toyota was so excited, and they had all of their people from the main office out. And again, this is the month. It's going to have its grand opening, brand spanking new from the ground up. In fact, there was a street there, and they turned that street into the entrance where you bring your car in and you talk to the service writer. And the overhead's about 40 feet up in the air. I mean, it looks like an airplane could fly in the middle of that service bay.
Right. And that was done through an easement in collaboration with the city, which is phenomenal. And that's why, it's so important to understand these complexities, Mr. Hidalgo. Can you please talk to us about some of the procedural complexities of launching a redevelopment project, and to get you to this point? I know you have your own secrets, and I was very fortunate to actually witness some of those secrets firsthand. Can absolutely appreciate it and was in awe of how wonderful this process works. Can you please, touch on those so that we can learn about what it really takes to get something like this off the ground?
Yes. Thank you, Yvette, for the question. I think the question is, how do you get a project, if I understand you correctly, of this scale and magnitude to succeed and move forward successfully? And I think, when I think of the question in that way, there's three things that stand out to me. Number one is political will, right? And that comes through partnerships with the city, which require the support of the policymakers, the elected officials, the key staff in the city, the directors of departments, the city manager, to support or to have the desire for a project like this to move forward. So number one is political will. The second key component in my mind is community support. And that comes through intensive community engagement. People want to know what's going on. They want to have a say in what's going on. And so it's critical to engage them in the process, to give them opportunities to participate, to share their ideas, to share their vision of what they would like to see transpire and be developed in their communities, in their downtown in this case. And I think the third key component that comes to mind for me is the support of the business community. And so earlier I alluded to it in the interview. I said we use something called the unified development approach that focuses on the property owners, business owners, investors, and other developers. And that's critical to have the support of the business community, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to finance it, right? And then another aspect of this, another way to approach that question is that we believe in something called process before plan. And so if we come in with an idea of what we're going to create or impose on a community, oftentimes, you'll meet resistance. And when you meet that resistance, it creates obstacles for projects and plans to move forward, or you just won't have the investors and the financing to move projects forward if it hasn't been thought out through, and it doesn't enjoy the support of the business community. So process before plan is critical, and a big part of that process is those three key components which I mentioned. It's the political will, partnerships with the city, it's the public engagement and public support, and it's the support of the business community. And so in a nutshell, that's how I would respond to your question.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about how you're able to engage that community? I was very fortunate, like I said, to be present and to see the displays that you had and the feedback you were requesting from the community, and engaging them and asking them, what would you like to see in your community? Would you like to see more art, more business, more play? Have them engage, give them a voice in the process, like you said, prior to presenting it and making decisions. I think, and from my background as a planning commissioner, that is such a critical part of getting these projects to move forward. And that is getting everybody on the same page, moving in the same direction. And if you can get the community to be a part of that process, to engage and to really create something that they know they had a part of developing, that is the key. So can you just share a little bit about that process and engaging the community?
You're so right, Yvette. The pride of authorship from the community is so essential for particularly a project of this scale and magnitude to move forward and to succeed. And we approach that through a process called crowd-sourced placemaking. And that is a very intensive community engagement process. You saw a sample of it. That's a part of what we do, and I'm glad that you were able to see that and appreciate that. And it's for the listening audience out there. It's being present where the folks are at in the community. So in this case, it was at a food festival, and so we made sure we were there in collaboration with the city's planning consultant that's working on the general plan and the specific plan, and they did a great job as well. And we were able to engage people where they were at with their families. When they were trying to enjoy their community and to have an open discussion about what they would like to see in their community going forward that isn't already there, or what they would like to see more of. And this crowdsourced placemaking process has to be done, again, where people are at. So that means in person, but also virtually, right? And the pandemic, COVID-19, has taught us a lot about how we can all engage with one another virtually. And so that's something that we had started to do prior to the pandemic. We were using platforms online for people to be able to participate, share ideas, vote on ideas, to see what other ideas folks have submitted. And then if you like that idea, you can vote for it. And what that does is it uplifts the ideas that have been submitted by the community, and it identifies which ideas have the most support. And that allows us, as the master developer, to evaluate what the community wants, what the market desires, and do feasibility studies to figure out which of those ideas can actually be implemented financially, right? And we're very transparent with the process. We share that feedback to the community, and we look at maybe the top 10 things that the community supports, the top 10 ideas, and maybe 7 of them can move forward. And so we're able to rank them, and sometimes, you got to tweak them a little so it works out. Maybe they want a bookstore, but bookstores are closing. They're going, brick and mortar bookstores are going out of business. But if you incorporate a coffee shop and maybe some live performances in the space, all of a sudden it can work. Maybe an art center there as well as part of the coffee shop. So, tweaking, massaging, figuring out what folks want, that's really the secret sauce to our success.
I love it.
Beautiful.
And for people that are just tuning in, we are here with Ernesto Hidalgo, the Executive Vice President with Renaissance Downtowns USA. And I want to brag again that the company is based in Southern California. As Yvette and I say, we got people waking up in one neighborhood called Orange County and driving to another neighborhood, call it, San Bernardino County and go visit a friend in LA County and drop off dinner for a family member in another county. So we have this beautiful community, Southern California, with these different neighborhoods. And the fact that you're a Southern California company and you have been selected to go in and completely make brand new again, a major development on the I-10 freeway and the 215. I mean, those are, you want to talk about, one's taking you to San Diego and the other one's taking you to Las Vegas, and the other one's taking you downtown LA, and the other one's taking you to Arizona. So, that is such a critical location. Do me a favor and do Yvette a favor, and let's brag a little bit. Your company has this huge understanding nationally. Pick an area anywhere in the United States, and let's brag a little bit about your Renaissance Downtowns, USA. It says it right in the name, USA. So let's brag about one of those areas that you think everybody would be excited to hear about, and it kind of paints the picture, and so that they can really kind of visualize what San Bernardino, the city of San Bernardino, is going to look like today versus how transformative it is, the before and after. So what would you pick all across the country that you think really paints the picture?
Daryl, I love the question. And as I answer it, let me clarify one thing, because it's actually a joint venture between Renaissance Downtowns USA that brings this national footprint to which you're alluding to, and RDICO Real Estate Group, which brings this local expertise that is invaluable. So as we brag, let me brag about both.
Fantastic.
And about the national footprint, the community that really stands out as we think about what we'd like to see in downtown San Bernardino is the city of New Rochelle in New York. And many people now view the city of New Rochelle in New York as almost the fifth borough of New York. So it's outside of Queens, it's burgeoning. Now, prior to Renaissance Downtown USA's involvement in the city of New Rochelle, they were not so different to the situation that downtown San Bernardino and the Carousel Mall have been in, where, we talked about the Carousel Mall. We first got involved 13 years ago and stepped away through RDICO Real Estate Group because it wasn't a project that penciled out. Well, it was the same conditions in New Rochelle. The city of New Rochelle could not draw developers in. They could not draw investment in. For more than a decade, there weren't any projects in New Rochelle. And when Renaissance Downtowns USA came in and used this holistic and comprehensive approach, where they looked at something comparable, more than 300 acres in the central business district of downtown, and the opportunities that were there, by creating this form-based zoning code in a very custom-tailored way, that resulted, going through that process, creating that code, applying these strategies, has resulted in the city of New Rochelle making national news, being published in the Wall Street Journal and the Real Deal News, which is a prominent real estate publication, because in just a short period of time, let's say 6-7 years or less, there have been more than 40 projects in the city of New Rochelle. So again, from a period of 10 years where there was no development to now 40 years of projects that either have been completed or are currently in the pipeline and under development in the city of New Rochelle. And that is the type of transformative redevelopment we would like to see in downtown San Bernardino. And I've got to point out, because some folks will express concern that when you see such rapid change, it could create problems for folks that have been there, for the long term as all this change happens. Not everybody adapts to change quickly. They may not be able to afford the new housing or the new rent, but that's why we approach this through a triple bottom line. We one of the things that we like to do in our projects are community benefits agreements, where we can mitigate some of these challenges or concerns that are expressed by the community. And every community is different. So, it may not be the same concerns in New Rochelle as in San Bernardino. But again, that's why we put process before plan. That's why we engage the key stakeholders, the business community, the community members in the region, and identify what those concerns are and how we can address them up front.
That's fantastic. That is,
I love it.
Yeah, and I tell you, we are so excited. We're so excited to see the spotlight going on the original downtown of San Bernardino, which is in the city of San Bernardino. And the before and after is going to be amazing. And the fact that you guys are being very sensitive to the people that, as you said, have been there for many, many years, identify what their concerns are, address those concerns so that they can become excited about the redevelopment. And I've seen that again and again and again. And they did that in Old Town Pasadena. What Yvette Walker and I have seen in Rancho Cucamonga. You've mentioned that. Just so respectful to the existing stakeholders, homeowners and business owners, and just when you have a plan and it's well thought out and you're getting the feedback from everybody, you're not going in there like like a rolling pin. You're getting everybody's buy-in. Just be very thoughtful and put the plan together. And as you said, be very transparent about the plan. And then everybody can get excited about implementing the plan. And
Absolutely.
and as it just slowly gets implemented, people get excited. And when people see their property values going up, and they get the reputation as being a very safe place to live, when they get the reputation that there's a lot of amazing jobs in that community, and then you mentioned making sure that there are things there that people are excited about going to visit, make it an anchor tenant for all of Southern California, where people are going out. And I'm going to put a plug in right now, Yvette. My favorite zoo is right up the hill. So you got the Big Bear Alpine Zoo, that is one of the best kept secrets out there. We have SeaWorld in San Diego. We got the LA Zoo in LA, and they've just doubled the size of the Big Bear Alpine Zoo. Another secret, the before and after. If somebody went to the zoo 5 years ago, where you can see grizzly bears and bald eagles and all that, and they had to work through. They had all the neighborhood feedback and got everybody excited about it before they expanded. So we are wishing you just the greatest of success in your and keep us posted. And by the way, when we have the folks from RDICO, when they come on real estate development, Yvette, we're going to count to see how many times they say Renaissance Downtown USA, because he has been so good. You've been so good about making it clear that you're in partnership and the two companies are collaborating to make sure that the needs of the community are put in the number one spot. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And Mr. Hidalgo, briefly, can you tell us where exactly you are in this process of the redevelopment plan moving forward?
Yes. So we are we've been selected by the council, and we are currently discussing the particulars of how this partnership with the city will move forward. It is the city actually owns the Carousel Mall. So that's why they were able to put out the RFQ and RFP, and we're, you can say kind of in the negotiation phase right now, and we're excited about that.
Wonderful. Any plans for breaking ground in the next year or two? We hope so. That would be great. As I said, we like process before plan, and so right now, what is already moving forward is the city's effort with the planning consultant to create this specific plan for the downtown. So in essence, things are already moving forward so that we can get to the point of the environmental studies, which will need to happen before we break ground, and then the actual groundbreaking. So I think that, in theory, if things move forward very quickly, we're looking at something, within the next year and a half to 2 years for groundbreaking once everything has been completed with the specific plan and the environmental studies. And you might see some stuff before that. The Carousel Mall itself will need to be demolished. So we might see that demolition occur even sooner.
Well,
Very nice. Thank you.
I can tell you this. I agree. I think that you answered that question. The secret is, and everybody's waiting for the first shovel full of dirt to get turned. And the key is the plan. The key is the plan. And people always want to shortcut that process. And the more time you spend on that plan, it makes everything else easy. Everything else moves so smoothly. And you've done a great job at articulating that to the audience, and all of the amazing redevelopments throughout Southern California and the whole nation. It all stands with that plan, and if that plan was well thought out, and all the details are there, and then all that's left is to execute on it. Everything's just really smooth as silk, and so that. I'm glad you really went deep on that to really explain all the community buy-in, the political buy-in, the business community. As I said, we've got already a groundbreaking. I mean, this is the most amazing Toyota dealership. When you think of Toyota dealerships throughout Southern California, to have right across from your bullseye there at the Carousel Mall is this amazing mega Toyota dealership, and they're about ready to break ground right next to it. Take the original Subaru dealership, break ground, and put a mega beautiful Subaru dealership there. Another amazing brand name. So, yeah, Mr. Hidalgo, we cannot thank you enough, and your partner and yourself, and make sure that you can let them know by the end of the show you had my brain working right. Now that we got two amazing companies, Downtown Renaissance USA, and how do you say their name properly? Is it how do you spell it?
The ICO Real Estate Group.
ICO Real Estate Group, ICCO, correct?
ICO,
ICO,
and then real estate.
Okay, ICO Real Estate Group, fantastic. Yvette, take us out.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Hidalgo. Great information. We're so looking forward to all the beautiful things that are coming to our region. So everyone that's listening and watching today, please don't forget to look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Check out our YouTube channel and download our interview with Edward Ornelas Jr., the current president and CEO of the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce and an independent majority stakeholder of the newly acquired and revival of the Inland Empire Business Journal. He has worked with many small businesses to enhance their brand. Edward has the experience, passion, and drive to succeed in any environment. A think outside the box attitude coupled with an unorthodox marketing approach is what sets him apart from the rest. Next week, we will have Dr. Camille Ademi, a hematologist oncologist at City of Hope, a comprehensive cancer center in the San Gabriel Valley. Dr. Ademi is well-versed in all blood cancers and solid tumors and has led many clinical trials to find better treatments for leukemia, multiple myeloma, and Hodgkin's lymphoma. His practice is in Upland at one of the City of Hope's more than 30 locations across Southern California. So everybody, please join us next week. Don't miss it.
This has been the Southern California Business Report with Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker on KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them. Log on to the show's website and remember to visit the podcast page.